Hey guys, welcome to the Liberal Hive Mind, a channel solely focused on exposing the abundant hypocrisy of the left. It is so hard to find compromise, meet in the middle, and actually agree with lefties these days because it seems as though we're living in two different worlds. One world is reality and the next is whatever the Democrats are living in, some sort of delusional fantasy. It is hard to have a conversation with a group of people who absolutely deny reality. They would rather ignore the obvious, pretend that the obvious doesn't exist, as long as it benefits their political side, then obvious truth be damned. And so that's what I'm constantly left asking myself. Is the current political divide, this current situation, redeemable? If the other side is okay with our subjugation, is okay with the destruction of freedom, is okay to hand over all of the power to massive tech oligarchies, and is unwilling to have a truthful conversation, is unwilling to tackle the facts, I am not so sure, folks. We keep hearing from all of these liberals, well, various studies have proved that conservatives, in fact, are not subject to censorship at higher rates than liberals. They actually say that stuff with a straight face, that there's no such thing as an anti-conservative bias on these tech platforms. And then, of course, we get a study showing that Google is literally doing exactly that. A new report showing that Google's Gmail has been marking Republican political emails as spam at a rate of 820% higher than emails from Democrat candidates. But of course, this anti-conservative bias doesn't exist, is what the lefties will tell you, is what the news media will tell you, when we know that that is obvious BS. So that's what we're going to talk about. But of course, before we get into any of it, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, hidden from non-subscribed viewers. And with that out of the way, let's roll the tape. Alright folks, take a look at this. Google pushed GOP fundraising emails to spam while delivering Democrats' calls for cash to inbox. Republican committees have filed a complaint to the Federal Elections Commission after researchers at the North Carolina State University's Department of Computer Science found that Google's Gmail marked emails from Republican candidates as spam at an astronomically higher rate than Democrat candidates. The findings were published in a study titled "A Peek into the Political Biases in Email Spam Filtering Algorithms During the U.S. 2020 Election." The study looked at 3 email service providers, Google, Outlook, and Yahoo. It found that while all service providers displayed some disparity in marking Republican candidate emails as spam, Google did such at a shockingly higher rate than its 2 competitors. The study's findings are shocking. All 3 services displayed some disparity, with Outlook marking Democrat emails as spam approximately 27% more than Republican emails, and Yahoo marking Democrat emails as spam approximately 14% more. In comparison, however, Google's Gmail truly stands apart as it marked Republican emails as spam at more than an 820% higher rate than it marked emails from Democrat candidates. Yet Democrats want to continuously tell us that anti-conservative bias at the biggest tech companies doesn't exist. Lefties constantly linking articles like this. No evidence of anti-conservative bias by social media, new study asserts. Internet platforms like Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube are not systematically biased against conservatives or right-wing viewpoints in their content moderation practices, according to an analysis from NYU researchers. NYU researchers find no evidence of anti-conservative bias on social media. Researchers say claims of social media censoring conservatives are disinformation, but it's obvious bull. I mean, let's be real here, folks, which is something I know Democrats struggle with sincerely. The argument that Tim Pool made on Joe Rogan's podcast when confronting the Twitter lawyer as well as Twitter's ex-CEO Jack Dorsey is probably a great place to start. I mean, if you think about it, the terms of service themselves are biased against conservatives. Conservative narratives and conservative talking points are straight up outlawed on some of these platforms. You could say, well, conservatives are being banned because of the terms of service, and it's not actually a bias against conservatives when the entire system is biased. And just the algorithm, I mean, I don't need to do some fancy university study, research study, in order to make a point here and to make it confidently. I have the analytics for my YouTube channel, for instance. My stuff doesn't get promoted. It gets promoted to a very select, small group of people on the YouTube platform who have already catered their algorithm to right-wing politics and independent content creation. And that's how it is for every independent conservative commentator out there. It is in fact a shadow ban. When you watch a liberal hive mind video, what comes next is not a liberal hive mind video. It's a Fox News clip or a CNN clip. If you search for liberal hive mind in the YouTube search bar, what comes first is liberal Hindu. I've tried this in multiple different countries. I've tried this on different computers. It's always the same thing. From what I understand, I'm the biggest channel with the word liberal written in it. But even when you write liberal space H, liberal Hindu comes up and liberal hive mind doesn't. It might not be the same for everyone, but trust me, I've seen this happen countless amount of times. In fact, it's all I ever see. Then of course we go to the trending tab, which is nothing but a liberal cesspool of Jimmy Kimmel and all this other garbage content. But when Joe Rogan had Alex Jones on his podcast and had the most massively viral video on the platform in a very long time, it didn't make the top trending because it's curated. The systems are in place to suppress and hide Republican viewpoints. It's the same thing on Twitter. The trending tab is nothing but left-wing media outlets pushing anti-Trump and anti-conservative notions and stories above all else. Not to mention on the Twitter platform, when it comes to recommendations, I follow mostly conservative people. I'm clearly operating in a conservative environment on the platform, yet all I ever get shoved in front of my face by the Twitter algorithm is left-wing garbage. And you know how I'm gonna prove this? By literally going onto Twitter right now, scrolling through my timeline, and I could pretty much guarantee you the only political stuff that Twitter is going to recommend on my feed, outside of the people that I follow on Twitter, so the stuff that literally Twitter is just shoving in people's faces, is going to be left-wing garbage. And would you look at that? Here's a tweet from George Takei. Happy May the 2nd, as in, may the second Trump presidency never ever happen. And of course, the second one that I found was from Brian Tyler Cohen. We need to get every 18-year-old in this country registered. Even for conservative people with conservative algorithms built around their Twitter and YouTube experience, you get left-wing garbage shoved in your face constantly. Honestly, the YouTube algorithm is much better in that specific scenario. You cater your own algorithm, you're within your little bubble, and once you make it conservative, it stays conservative. But on Twitter, even with a deeply conservative algorithm that you've built around your posts, your likes, your retweets, and your tweets, and your follows, all the platform ever promotes is left-wing garbage. I literally just refreshed my Twitter based on your retweets. Codify Roe versus Wade into law. It's literally all I ever get on the platform. And that's what has these Democrats, and especially these Democrats in the media, livid, seething with rage, although what it really is panic, like this complete meltdown on CNN.
No, I think there's a bigger problem that when we focus on the personalities of people like Elon Musk, and people say, oh, I think Elon's thinking this or that. There's a bigger problem here about how we are going to control the channels of communication in this country. We gave over our what amounts to our airwaves or our internet waves to Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk. And we are in so much trouble because those guys believe in making money. We've already seen that with the 2016 election and Zuckerberg when he was taking rubles for ads from Russia and saying, oh, I think it's crazy to think they had any influence on this election. Musk is the same. Musk doesn't want it. You know, he's upset with the SEC, tried to, how dare they question him? You know what I'm saying? This is dangerous. We can't think anymore in this country. We don't have people, no, I'm serious, we don't have people in Congress who can make regulations that can make it work. I think we can look to the Western countries in Europe for how they are trying to limit it. But you need controls on this. You need regulation. You cannot let these guys control discourse in this country or we are headed to hell. We are there.
The words speak for themselves. These elitist Democrats are absolutely mortified with the idea that they will lose control over the flow of information and over what we can and can't say. They're already calling for more regulation, which means more censorship in the direction of the right wing, and they continue to prove what we've been saying all along. They are unhinged leftists with authoritarian tendencies. And what they are advocating for and what they are supporting is totally antithetical to the First Amendment, to the entire point of American freedom and what makes America great in the first place, and is also antithetical to the principles of the internet in the first place. The internet was created to be a free platform, very similar to the cryptocurrency revolution that we're seeing in the finance sector, with the intention of being an open environment, and these big Democrat authoritarian left-wing goons, of course, will stop at nothing to get in the way of that. God forbid people get exposed to right-wing ideas and to their absurd and endless string of hypocrisy. That right there is the greatest threat to Democrat power. A lot of the times you could see it in their talking points. A couple years ago when lefties were claiming that there was this gateway to the alt-right, when really what it was a gateway to conservative ideas, and they wanted to shut it down at all costs. God forbid people watch Ben Shapiro and then become a conservative. That's exactly what they want to stop. They want to stop exposure to right-wing ideas, common sense conservative values, and traditional values. Because if people are exposed to these ideas, they might actually snap out of the liberal brainwash that the education system in Hollywood has infected their brains with, otherwise known as the woke mind virus, which of course, open free speech and open discussion is the clear cure to this crippling diagnosis. That's what I got for you guys though. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, subscribe, share the video as much as possible. We are still shadow banned by the YouTube algorithm, hidden from non-subscribed viewers. I'm going to get back to work. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.